Okay, I know it's been years and I should probably get over it, but I think Alan Rickman still deserved the Best Supporting Actor nomination for playing Severus Snape in Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 2. I cannot. Alright, we are at part 17 of my Oscar coverage. This time we're talking about Best Supporting Actor. Now, in terms of my criteria for this, it's pretty much the same thing as Best Supporting Actress. We're looking at physicality, voice, delivery of lines, chemistry with other actors. Again, there's no need to know what the actor is like in real life, even if it turns out the person he's playing ends up, very similar to who he is in real life. We will not concern ourselves with that. And what I try to do is because, I myself am not an actor, so I don't know what exactly good acting is, honestly. What I try to do is focus on the character that person is playing, and in my opinion, it, if that actor is really good, he will be able to convey certain depth that is not necessarily there in the dialogue in the script. He will take his character further than what is called for. All right, so the nominees for Best Supporting Actor are Barkhad Abdi and Captain Phillips as Abdul Ali Muzey, Bradley Cooper in American Hustle as Agent Richie DeMazo, Michael Fassbender in 12 Years a Slave as Edwin Epps, Jonah Hill in The Wolf of Wall Street as Donnie Azoff, and Jared Leto in Dallas Buyers Club as Rayon. Now, this is actually a really good list. I know I can name some people right now who, I thought deserved the supporting actor nomination, but the list as we have it now is actually pretty good, and has lots of varied roles and stuff, and yeah, I'm satisfied. So let's get into it. At fifth place, I'm going to put Jonah Hill. Now, I'm not putting Jonah Hill here just because, he's Jonah Hill. I actually really like Jonah Hill. And, I think this nomination is pretty good because just the way he changed his accent, his delivery is really spot on, and the character he plays is just absolute pond scum, but he really is just so fun to watch. He's fun to watch because you have to ask yourself like how low can someone go? Unlike Jordan Belfort, Donnie Azoff has like nothing to lose, and he just completely dives into this whole situation, this whole sudden wealth he has, and he's just completely off the chain. He's getting high everywhere. He's swallowing goldfish. But despite all the craziness, there really is like a sense of depth in terms of his relationship with Jordan Belfort. Like you really do feel like these guys are almost brothers. And he's not all fun and games either. There's some certain points where Donnie Azoff, he's supposed to show like a certain emotion, like let's say feeling of being betrayed or whatnot. And Jonah Hill, I think, really gets this across, like really, really well. I was actually very surprised because I thought he was just gonna be this kind of character the entire movie, and he really wasn't. However, Jonah Hill's character really does end up at fifth place, just because like many other characters in this movie, he really doesn't have an arc, and that concerns me because there isn't a lot of growth. Like Jonah Hill isn't given so much to do, so he ends up at fifth place. But that's not necessarily Jonah Hill's fault. Now, at fourth place, I'm gonna put Bradley Cooper as Agent Richie DeMazo, and this character he plays is just he's someone who gets increasingly more arrogant as the movie goes along. Like this movie really is about con artists in every sense of the word, and in a way, Richie DeMazo is kind of conning the con artists too, and he's conning himself. He's fooling himself into thinking, oh, I am this great. And really, this character of Bradley Cooper really gets just more angry and angry, like as the movie goes on, and he shows this really well. You get this sense of self-confidence and whatnot. And what's really cool is that he has a different kind of relationship with every single character in this movie, especially Amy Adams' character. Like the way they bounce off each other, the whole is he attracted to her or not thing. It really develops very well, and Bradley Cooper really displays this range of emotion, this desperation almost. What could have been a role that just like one note, but with Bradley Cooper playing him, he really shows how messed up this person is inside, and that's great. However, he does end up at fourth place because at a lot of points during the movie, it does kind of feel like Bradley Cooper playing Bradley Cooper, and or him playing his character from Silver Linings Playbook, but always mad, something like that. So just because of that, again, it's not really Bradley Cooper's fault. It's really it's just not the best role for him to completely shine in and win an Oscar for. Now, third place, I'm going to put BAFTA Award winner Barkhad Abdi. I remember watching Captain Phillips the first time. I was pretty scared of this guy because he looks like a Somali pirate, and that's just great casting also. But just also in his physicality, the way he moves and the way he talks, he just came off as really scary. And I thought this was such a great achievement because he wasn't physically imposing or in any way. And I'm not gonna say like, oh, he was scary because he was Somali and anything. That's racist. But really, just the way he kind of talked to Captain Phillips and the other people, he really did assert his authority over the other pirates despite his frame, and he really showed that this kind of ferocity came from the motivation of him just trying to make a living out of this piracy stuff. But Barkat Abdi really shines as the movie goes on because he slowly begins to shed his layers of ferocity and begins to show the desperation behind his actions, and the way he relates to Captain Phillips. Eventually he begins to show that he has some sort of not really respect but this mutual understanding with the guy, that he understands that the situation they're in is pretty hopeless. And for first time actor Barkat Abdi really knocked this one out of the park. Like, there's actual depth to his performance, and it's absolutely nuanced. It's not an obvious shift. It's really just in the eyes, the way he talks, and it's just such a good performance. However, he ends up at third place just because, again, the movie doesn't necessarily give him so much to do. Like, there are parts where Barkat Abdi's character is not there. There are parts where he's pretty much doing the same thing, but he still turned in a great performance. And second place is Michael Fassbender from 12 Years a Slave, and he played the worst human being ever on the planet. And I cannot stress this enough. This guy is absolutely detestable, and it takes a great actor to make you hate someone, and Michael Fassbender did a great job. The thing about Edwin Epps is that he always seems like he's about to snap, whether he's reading from a Bible, whether he's talking to Solomon Northup in a calm voice, whether he is sexually assaulting Patsy. It really feels like he's just going to destroy something. I've heard some people say that Michael Fassbender's character is very cartoonish, and I absolutely do not agree with that statement at all. Like, you really do begin to see that this character has lots of stuff to deal with, lots of baggage. His wife is incredibly, like, not annoying, but she's really, really abusive almost of his emotions, and he is just like drinking everywhere. He's attracted to the slave girl, and at a certain point, you begin to question, like, does he really know like how bad of a thing he's doing? It's almost like this is the only thing he knows. And Michael Fassbender, for me, really did avoid the cliche, the caricature of just this mad slave owner, because when Edwin Epps gets mad, when he starts whipping people, it is actually very scary. But again, in my opinion, he ends up at second place because he's not in the film the entire time, and it's not necessarily a completely unique role. So you can tell that maybe Michael Fassbender did some research, like he got certain things from other actors who played slave owners, but really just based on his performance alone, it's absolutely fantastic. But of course, at first place, I really have to put Jared Leto, man. And this is, I remember watching Dallas Buyers Club. If the poster and the trailer and stuff did never said that this was Jared Leto, I would not have known it was Jared Leto, because this dude, Jared Leto, is like 42 years old or something, and he looks 28 or something like that. And he just underwent a complete transformation in this movie, not just through the looks, but in his voice and just the way he moved. And Dallas Buyers Club really was Matthew McConaughey's movie, but it's saying a lot when Jared Leto, when I say Jared Leto almost stole the show from Matthew McConaughey, because whenever Rayon was on screen, it was just like, this movie just got a whole lot more interesting. And lots of people might be saying that, oh, just because he dressed up doesn't mean he deserves an Oscar, but really, it's more than that. Jared Leto really displays a huge range of emotion. You really do begin to feel for this guy, and Rayon really does have a tender heart underneath, and Jared Leto really shows that. Like, when McConaughey starts being a bit nicer to him, it's just very, very subtle movements again. But Rayon, you really do feel that Rayon starts to appreciate Ron Woodruff, and I really do think Jared Leto deserves this because he gives off such a complicated sense of being afraid of his situation, at the same time being strong, understanding it. Like, he rides that line so perfectly, and just the mix of fear and determination that he gives off is just, it's unparalleled really in this year for supporting actors. Like, Jared Leto takes the cake. As for winner, who I think will win the Oscar, it's, again, I think it's gonna go to Jared Leto because he's been winning everything. He didn't win the BAFTA just because he wasn't nominated. It would be, again, really happy to see Barkat Abdi win again. I think Michael Fassbender has had an Oscar coming for a long time. Jonah Hill's probably never going to win because he's Jonah Hill, and Bradley Cooper. I don't think he's gonna get it either because again, comedian at the Oscars. But no one's just gonna beat Jared Leto. He's just a powerhouse of a guy, and I like 30 Seconds to Mars, so I'm rooting for that too. Alright, so those are the nominees for Best Supporting Actor. What do you think of this year's roster? Who do you think should win? Who do you think will win? Whatever you think, whether you agree with me or disagree, please leave me a comment. Let's have a conversation.